Welcome to the Joe Hoff Show. It is Thursday, February 27th, year of our Lord 2025. And we are glad that you are here with us. Lots to talk about today. Got an incredible guest. Have had her on before, which is kind of an amazing story. So you're going to love that. We got some great breaking news for you only. And a lot going on. I mean, as every day lately, a lot going on, a lot of great stuff happening, no matter what the deep state tries with these corrupt judges. I saw yesterday that one of these judges that's blocking Trump's initiatives, that one of these judges is actually a Biden judge, was brought in November, is born in a different country, and is Muslim. And he's trying to block President Trump from doing things like maybe not paying USAID. This corrupt, disgusting, anti-constitutional judge that Biden just put in, who should absolutely be impeached today. Congress shouldn't ignore it. Impeach him today. This outrageous, lackadaisical, worthless Congress, both the House and the Senate, are just horrible. They intentionally do things at the speed of a dead snail. They're just pathetic. And this guy should be gone. I mean, who is this guy to tell President Trump what to do and what not to do? Seriously, what right does he have to say, no, you need to pay $2 billion to USAID? You need to let loose that $2 billion in payments. Go to hell. Go to hell. You're a fool. You never should have been brought there. And everybody that voted for you to be in that position, shame on them. They need to be removed from Congress. Because what sort of snake is he? What is he? What is this? This isn't America. This is socialist, fascist monsters like that monster judge in Brazil. Just a monster. He himself single-handedly has upset that entire country, pretending he's God and he had more rights than Bolsonaro. I mean, it's just gross. We need to get these nasty, disgusting, anti-American, corrupt as hell, communist, fascist judges out of our court system. We can never have freedom with judges like that. We need to figure out a better way to select judges other than this, because the left has decided the best thing for them is to bring in absolutely corrupt judges, people that you wouldn't invite into your house on any given day. These nasty, pig-headed, disgusting, anti-constitutional sickos that they're putting in the D.C. courts and other places, they can go to hell. They need to resign. They need to be removed. They never should be there. We've got to get this fixed. We're going to be probably preaching this probably till the end of time. These judges are not working for you. They're not working for me. There's somebody telling them what to do. They're monsters. They're not. This judge isn't smart enough to say on his own, well, I'm going to step in and I'm going to make President Trump. Force him to push out $2 billion in money to all sorts of corrupt entities. That's my job, says this judge. What a joke. It's disgusting. Well, this is what we're dealing with today. So we have to deal with that on top of all the great, great things happening. But these judges, they're going to try to muck it up as best they can. And that's who they are. And everyone that did it in 2016, everyone that imprisoned these January 6ers, everyone that's doing it now needs to be on a list, and they need to be removed from their judgeships. And we need to fix this before it's too late. So anyways, let's play, here's a reminder down Heaven's Lane. This is the evening in 2016, I believe it was November, I can't say the day actually, I was thinking November 3rd. November 3rd was in 2020, November 5th was in 2024. But in 2016, maybe it was the 7th, President Trump won the election and beat Hillary Clinton. And who can forget him coming on stage and sharing the following?
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business. Complicated. Thank you very much.
Complicated business, President Trump says. Remember that? Remember, the word was Hillary was drunk. Come out. She'd been drinking early. There was this video from earlier in the day, her and Bill Clinton, and I think their daughter, but certainly Bill, and they're jumping like little schoolgirls, Bill and Hillary. Oh, she won. The numbers are coming in. It looks great. She's going to be the first female president of the United States. This corrupt, disgusting, filthy, sick person will be the president. They're jumping like little schoolgirls. Oh, good. We get to destroy this country some more, says Bill. And Bill's like, I get more girls, he says. I get more girls. By the way, the Epstein list should come out. It was supposed to come out like at noon today, I thought. But anyways, a list of the unredacted flight logs from who was going to the Epstein Island. I believe the only redactions supposedly are supposed to be to protect the victims. So we will see about that. That's supposed to come out. And whose name do you think will be on it? About 20 times. Bill Clinton. Do you think Hillary will be on it? Word is she's on it. Do you think Bill Clinton's entire cabinet basically will be on it? Pretty much. We already know that from some flight logs that were released, 8 years ago. So this is going to be a reality check. Do you think President Trump's picture will be on there? No. His name, no. Never went to Epstein Island. Sorry, you liberal snakes that want to pretend that President Trump is some womanizer and a pedophile like Bill Clinton. Sorry, that's a lie. Just like everything you do, you lie about everything. It's so easy to be on our side and be aligned with the truth. It is so easy. If you're having a problem understanding what's true, just jump on our side. You'll be so happy. After a while, you say, God, everything I've been told is true. And by God, if we tell you something that's wrong, we'll let you know. We'll let you know because we're together fighting for the truth. We don't want this stuff. And sometimes we're wrong. Maybe about chemtrails, maybe about something else. But as time goes by, we find out, maybe the vaccine. Maybe we thought, these vaccines are safe. Maybe not now. That's okay. We'll let you know. Because nobody's perfect, and we're going to base our decisions on the best information we have. But we're right almost every time, if not every time. So anyways, one thing we've been fighting for and talking about over the last few years has been the persecution of individuals who protested on January 6th in Washington, D.C. The crowd, according to people there, was massive, just biggest crowd they've ever seen. I've heard people saying there's 1 million here, a couple people that were there, another 2 million. I mean, just the crowd was just massive. As far as you could see was people. And President Trump gave a speech, and during the speech, Mike Pence announced that he was going to basically stab President Trump and the rest of America in the back. That's why he's worthless now. Nobody will ever trust Mike Pence again. He can talk Jesus all he wants. He's an idiot and an imbecile and a crook. That's what we believe. Because how could anybody in their right mind that's not working for somebody else decide to certify that 2020 election? You'd have to be an absolute imbecile. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Mike Pence is just an idiot. So anyways, that's going on. Let's play this clip. This is from the Green Beret who was released from prison yesterday. And finally, and listen to the words that he says at the very end as he's coming up to the to whoever's there waiting for him. I'm not sure who was there to be with him. Take a look at this.
He said, you know when they're driving? I said, no, I don't. Sorry for the delay, folks. Complicated business.
That was fantastic, wasn't it? What a one-liner to say as you're getting out of prison where you've been unjustly imprisoned. This guy, Jeremy Brown, what a ride he's had. He's a 17-year master sergeant in the Green Beret. He's awesome. And He ends up getting indicted. The police first, or deep state, I should say. I'm not sure which agency. I think at first we thought it was FBI, but it actually might have been members under the CISA. They have a military. Anyways, in that group, there was information that they wanted people to be there on January 6th to work for them, and they approached Jeremy Brown at his home, talked to him about it. He politely declined. He wasn't gonna go spy on his fellow Americans on January 6th. Are you kidding me? And God knows what else they wanted him to do. So what happens? January 6th occurs. Jeremy Brown was there. He actually saved a woman's life. There's video of him protecting this woman. She was getting trampled by these police officers. He helped her up, got her safe to safety. He was a hero that day. And so what happens after January 6th? He goes back home to Florida. And what happens next? He said he shares a video of that discussion with the deep state. Again, I don't know if it's FBI for sure or not. That came to his house and tried to entice him into working for them on January 6th. He shares that video with Gateway Pundit. Gateway Pundit puts it up, shares it, and what happens? But within weeks, months, these same players show up at his house again and trying to gather information. What we believe is when they went to his house, they planted a grenade on his house. So then they come back and they find, oh, we found a grenade on your property. He says, that's not mine. I don't know where you got it. I think he had a camera. I think they took that down. So he didn't have that. He was prosecuted in prison for a number of years. And it wasn't until yesterday that he was released from prison, even though he had been pardoned on January 20th on inauguration day by President Trump. They kept him in prison for an additional month. Anyways, he is free. And my understanding is there's maybe 3 or 4 other January 6ers that are still in prison that we've got to get out of prison. Again, these corrupt judges, corrupt as hell, straight from the gates of devil's den. These people are withholding these people and preventing them to setting them free. Outrageous stuff. Outrageous stuff. We've got to set all these guys free. And I think they have great lawsuits against this corrupt government and these corrupt judges. I think these judges, when they fail to do their job and uphold the Constitution, I believe they should be eligible for suits. Absolutely. You put somebody in prison and you put somebody away for 33 years, like Michael Sessa, who was wrongly imprisoned by a judge working with Andrew Weissman 33 years ago over the case of Michael Sessa. Weissman gives the judge that he won't tell him the name of the of his witness who claims that Michael Sessa was the murderer in this trial, and yet the witness was a mafia hitman. That's not a good witness. That's not a good witness. Michael Sessa ends up being found guilty and goes to prison for 33 years now and counting. Half his life been sitting in prison, wife and baby. He turned himself in. This is the kind of stuff that we need to stop. We need to fix. We need to address now. Talk to some of these guys, these January 6ers. I asked them, how many people are in prison today that shouldn't be? They're like, there's lots. I'm wondering if the prison system already has been built to protect the criminals from their crimes. You put the people in there that know too much. I question Sam Bankman-Fried. I wonder what he knows. FTX, money being funneled, laundered through FTX. I heard we reported he had calls with Biden White House once a week until his bankruptcy. So, anyways, congratulations to Master Sergeant Jeremy Brown, 17-year Master Sergeant. Congratulations on being free today. We apologize on behalf of our country for wrongly imprisoning you and putting you through the hell that you've been through. God bless you. We're behind you all the way. Yesterday was a big day as well when Elon Musk showed up to the President Trump's first cabinet meeting of this administration. And Elon shared a number of things. He was great. President Trump had him talk first. And what an honor to have that guy there. What a miracle. This guy's helping us fix America. Who would be against that? The liberals, I guess, tried to demonize us as we're coming out and saying, hey, there's $50 billion going to USA that's corrupt. But you'll get a Muslim Biden judge who was just put in office in November, telling all of us that he knows better than us. And he says that $2 billion payment to USAID needed to go out by midnight last night. This is insanity. This guy's beyond a fool. The arrogance is unbelievable. Got to get rid of people like that. That's not a judge. That's not even not an activist. That's a monster. Anyways, Elon shared this at yesterday's meeting. It was brilliant. I watched most of it. It was great entertainment just to watch his meeting with his cabinet. It was great people. Elon Musk said this is the greatest cabinet ever. I would agree. I know Lincoln had some real strong people in his cabinet during the Civil War that were really brilliant, the best people of his time. I think Trump's done the same thing. I mean, my God, you got Elon Musk there, Bobby Kennedy. Another thing I noticed, and somebody pointed out, Bobby Kennedy was there yesterday. It's the first time that a Kennedy family member had been in an administration at a cabinet meeting since his dad, Bobby Kennedy Sr. So I'm sure there's a bit of melancholy with Bobby Kennedy Jr., knowing that he was now sitting where his father had once sat. So, and he's going to do great things for America and everybody. Anyways, here's Elon with a short segment of what he shared yesterday.
Thank you, Elon.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually just call myself a humble tech support here because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the Doge team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate. There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true. The overall goal here with the Doge team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt, now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending like over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt. It's not an optional thing, it is an essential thing. That's the reason I'm here. And taking a lot of flack, and getting a lot of death threats, by the way. I mean, I like to stack them up, you know. But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. And I'm confident at this point, knock on wood, you know, knock on my wooden head, there's got a lot of wood up there, that we can actually find $1 trillion in savings.
Brilliant. That's why we're here. You can't continue with this massive spending. Biden's team tried to destroy America for good. They almost did it. Trump and his team immediately recognizes the damage that they've done, immediately is trying to cut spending massively. And then as they start digging into it, they see billions of dollars flowing around the country. I still want to know where that other $48 billion from USAID, where's that going? Who's getting that really? Is it Soros, World Economic Forum, or China? I wrote a piece yesterday asking about that. Is China receiving all this money? I mean, there's 48 billion we haven't accounted for out of 50 a year coming out of USAID, and the rest all went to hell. Or some hellacious operations. We found out this morning. I put this up at joehoff.com. Norm Ison's daughter, I'd say personally very homely, I think. But then again, Norm Ison is pretty homely, so it's no surprise. But his daughter is part of this one group that was receiving millions of dollars from USAID, and she was a key player there. How much money went to Norm Ison's daughter? How much money did Norm Ison get? The same guy, he's the mastermind behind all the crimes, all the corruption, all the coup against President Trump. The list goes on and on and on, and starts with the Ukrainian war of 2014, where they overthrew the government. There's his daughter, was working for this entity called, I think it's it's an NGO, I think it was NDI or something like that, National Democratic Institute or some garbage name. It's all just a way to funnel money to their people and reward them for pushing lies. There's a picture of Norm Ison, really one of the most ugly individuals you've ever met, inside and out. I noticed that as people
align themselves with evil, they start looking ugly. It's amazing. Look at Chuck Schumer. Look at Nancy Pelosi. It just happens. Anyways, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff there. So that's what's going on at that NDI, and that came out today. So God knows how many other crooks are receiving money from USAID as well. One video that President Trump put out yesterday, I didn't realize it came from real Donald Trump, I believe, on Instagram. And it's about Trump Gaza. I don't know if you saw this, but it's pretty amazing. I watched it a few times. I'm like, wow. Take a look at this.
Donald's coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, number one. Trump Gaza, shining bright. Golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, number one.
That thing just raps and raps and raps. It's got a nice beat to it, I think. Trump's team put it out yesterday. I'm like, my God, I can't believe they're doing it. But I do love it because what he does, and first of all, it steals people's attention. It gives Trump's the master at running the media. He does this stuff. He's got he's got his first cabinet meeting, as he's announcing today, he's going to push forward with these tariffs with Mexico, Canada, and China. He does this stuff, and the left goes crazy. It's like a squirrel running out of the woods during a forest fire. People say, look at the squirrel. There's the fires over here. There's a squirrel. He directs the news. He's brilliant. And that piece is great too. What it does is, I think it also gives hope about what can be done with that beautiful piece of land there on the Mediterranean. I've heard it's gorgeous property. And by the way, I've heard there's a bunch of oil or natural gas just right near there. So it's really worth a lot. And it's been destroyed. Instead of taking money from the U.S. that maybe never should have gone there and building tunnels so that they could invade Israel and kill people, wouldn't that have been something if they took those billions and built the city the way it could have been on the Mediterranean? My God, it's gorgeous. Trump's just great. Another just great idea. So that's something. Got a lot to talk about today, but we're going to take a quick break. I've got an incredible guest. She's been with us before. We've got, again, lots to talk about. I actually saw her about a month ago in D.C. at the inauguration. So it's going to be fun to catch up and to talk with our great guest, Kayleigh Kozak, right after this. Hi, this is Joe Hoft. Are you looking for monthly income without the risk of stocks? Here's something you won't hear about on CNBC. There's a unique way to collect royalties directly from America's most productive oil fields. No exploring, drilling, or operational headaches. You simply collect checks month after month. The best part? You can get started with just $25 through any brokerage account. The Oxford Club's chief income strategist, Mark Lechtenfeld, breaks down what he believes is the #1 royalty play for 2025. Visit HoftOilBoom.com now to learn more. That's HoftOilBoom.com, HoftOilBoom.com. Stop buying oil stocks and start collecting oil royalty checks now instead.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle. Hi, I'm Joe, Supreme Leader of DCF. What is DCF, you ask? We're the best damn sandwich shop in the universe. Do we sell hoagies? Well, we're DCF, and the F doesn't stand for hoagies. We got 9mm sandwiches. We got beastly baguettes, and we toast buns like no other. Looking for training on bun safety? We got you covered. And our ranges are the best place to test out your new Not sandwich. So get your buns out, cause the sun's out, and let's party! We're not actually a sandwich shop.
Hey, we're back. This is Joe Hoft on the Joe Hoft Show. Thank you all for being here and supporting us. And I want to remind you that about one of our individuals that helps support this show and this channel. And it's about investing. And this group talks about the smartest investors in the world and how they are not buying oil stocks, but they're collecting mailbox money from oil royalties instead. I'm talking about passive income that shows up month after month with as little as $25 investment. Visit hoftoilboom.com. That's HOFTOILBOOM.com to discover how to tap into this monthly royalty from America's actually most productive oil basin. You don't need to be wealthy or connected, just a small 25, as little as $25. And you'll be receiving regular brokerage, regular installments based. All you need really is a brokerage account. So again, hoftoilboom.com. Learn how you can do this and make some money. And it's a different and unique opportunity to do that. I got to tell you, things are going to start booming real soon as Trump makes this economy great. So please take a look, and appreciate your support and appreciate all you do to be here with us. Having said that, I want to introduce my good friend. I'd say met her here about a month ago in DC and had her on the show not long before that, and real pleasure. And I'm glad she's here with us today again, Miss Kayleigh Kozak. Kayleigh, welcome to the Joe Hoft Show.
Thanks for having me on again. And yeah, it's crazy to think we finally met in person just about a month ago.
I know, and that was well, see, that was an amazing night. 'Cause it was so busy for for us. We'd put on that event. It was packed. I think they had more people than we even. I don't know what the fire code was, but we filled it.
I definitely exceeded capacity by a large number.
And Jim and I, my twin brother, we used to have parties in college, and people called them Hoffs are having a party. That was
how funny.
phrase. And man, we had some great parties, and we haven't had one maybe in 4 years. I won't say how many, almost decades. And I guess because of all those parties, we ended up finding recovery. And so we haven't had a lot of those parties, but that reminded me of one of our parties from the college days. Just packed, great music, lots of people.
It was
Everybody
fun.
just having a great time. So that was a lot of fun. So it was nice meeting you there for sure.
Yeah. It's wild how it's like a wedding, right? Like you plan, and then boom, it's here. And then you blink and it's over. And as many people as you connect with, you miss people, you have really surface level conversation. Everything moves so quickly. And that was that was on the 20th, right? So that was our third night of inaugural balls.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we had to leave. We flew out of DC at 3 a.m. We had to be at the airport. So we had to leave that party a little bit early, but my husband was a trooper, and that was his favorite inaugural ball that we went to was the Gateway Pundit one. So we're so grateful that we were able to be there.
Oh, yeah, it was great having you there. And Yeah, a couple comments. One is we were supposed to have a table ourselves. There was no table for us. They were all taken. People came in, they grabbed every table. I didn't sit
Yep.
for 5, 6 hours. And that was fun. The music was great. Loved these guys. Actually, I was a bit heartbroken though, because I said something to a couple of these guys ahead of time saying, is that okay if we sing a song together? I was going to sing a song with these guys. And then they said, well, we got one last song. And I'm thinking, okay, they're getting ready for me to jump up there. And then they didn't. They had one
Oh
last song. It ran out
no.
of time is what happened. There was too much. The time frame got squashed.
Yeah.
So I got cut. So I was a little disappointed. I didn't get to hear my voice, but it was probably for the best for everybody. And I guess the other thing that I remember, about I meet you, that was wonderful. And then we get a call from Kayleigh.
Yeah.
She's trying to find our place. She went to a different, like Hamilton location. There's another place there. And so you helped me with that in getting her to our party, right? How'd that end up?
So not to mention for people who weren't there, you couldn't get anywhere. I don't know how to explain to people. Roads were closed. You couldn't even cross the street. In order to cross the street, you had to go 2 miles up the road on foot because you couldn't drive to then cross to go back. It was wild how you couldn't even cross the street. So people were having a hard time, as you know, getting anywhere. I mean, we were dropped off almost a mile from the venue and had to walk in the snow, in the cold,
So cold. I
just to
just
get
remember
there.
so cold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, for us people who are heat acclimated, like it was really bad. I mean, I'm in Phoenix, you're in Florida, so we were a
Yeah.
little bit chilly, but yeah, so unfortunately Carrie ended up at a different place. So it took her a little longer to get there, but we helped her get there and got her in and got her warm because they were so cold and her kids came and she was able to get
Wow.
downstairs and so but bless her heart, she needed a breather.
Wow. Well,
She
I
was
tell you what, so we talked and I went downstairs. I never saw her. Never even saw Carrie.
Oh my
I
gosh,
never
yeah,
saw her.
she was down there and then she was all over. She was having a hard time when she, got down there. She was definitely bombarded and there was no place, the coat talk about exceeding. They weren't taking any coats. There was no coat check. I mean, I don't even
What do
know
you
how many
mean?
people were there. We
Wow.
overflowed upstairs, so but no, she was definitely there, definitely made it, but you get
I
so
didn't
busy
realize that
talking.
either. I
So
didn't even know
what's
that. You
what's
just told me
funny.
that. I didn't even know that we overflowed upstairs. I had no idea.
Oh yeah. We when I was waiting for Carrie to get there, I was so bummed because I missed Coffee singing, Coffee Anderson. I missed him.
Yeah.
And I was
Yeah.
like, dang it. And then as I was going downstairs, he was walking up. So I was able to catch him quickly and say hello. But you get so busy and you're so distracted. Don had said something to me and he said, when I was on stage and I was like, Don, I wasn't paying attention. I was probably talking to somebody because
I
you
hope
get
he's
so
listening.
busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm so sorry, but I was probably deep in conversation. And then you intend to leave and you're trying to get out the door and you can't. It takes an hour just to say goodbye. So it was a
Yeah.
wonderful event. We are so grateful
Yeah.
that we were able to be there.
Oh,
The vibe, all of it was so awesome.
yeah. Well, and then about 10 o'clock, they announced January 6ers have been pardoned.
Oh,
And
yes.
a couple of those guys started crying. I was standing next to a guy named Trennis, another guy
Yes.
who was emceeing the event, and I forgot his name.
I
He
met
starts
him.
crying. What's his name? Do
Yeah.
you know who I'm talking
I
about?
don't remember, but I did. I
Kind of a
was
unique
able to
name.
meet him.
Yeah, he started crying. We were there. He got a picture with him, showing the picture about the pardon on his phone, and me and Jim
Oh,
and him, and he broke down, started crying. I saw him hug his girlfriend, or wife,
oh,
and just was held on to her tight. They were both crying.
yeah.
So it
Rightfully
was
so.
great. That was right in the middle of the party. So
I know.
plenty of food, lots of drinks, great music, loud music, and it was great. It was perfect. That's the way a
It was
party should
great.
be.
Yep.
Jim was bitching. My brother was bitching a bit about it's too loud here. We can't talk. I'm like, God, listen to you. Like he
It is
ever cared
hard.
about that. Like he ever cared about that before at a party. The louder
It's
the music, the
definitely,
better.
yeah,
You
it's
know?
definitely hard to have like an actual conversation, but we don't need to be having actual conversations at those events. We were
No,
celebrating too. I
it
mean,
was.
we weren't there to work. We were there to celebrate.
It was, and it was a celebration. It was great. And so, yeah, so I got to meet you there. That was awesome. I just talked to you on the show, and it was just, yeah, a great time. Got to meet people like you, and I had a ball. We had a great time.
Agree.
But
was.
like we were mentioned during the break too, it was so damn cold. Somebody told us take the MTR, or MTR is the name we'd use in the metro. In Hong Kong, it was called the MTR. Take the train to this one station. It was only 2.5 blocks from where we were at. But even walking those 2.5 blocks with a heavy coat, I was freezing when we got there. I was just freezing. I'm just not used to that anymore. And so it was cold, but that was better than people like you that had to walk. I heard for a mile. They drop you off at like Uber, and you had to walk a mile to get to our place.
So we ended up going over and meeting Dawn at the West End, and I don't even know where we were, to be honest. And I looked for an Uber, and it said like an hour to go 3 miles, and I thought, this is crazy. So I said, well, we'll just walk, the 2.5 miles. Now I average 8 to 10 miles a day walking at home. I try to do all my work calls. I try to walk, just be outside, and exercising. And so we're used to that. But unfortunately, you couldn't get anywhere. So you couldn't cross streets. So that 2 miles turned into something bigger, longer. And then you couldn't even cross the street because of the parade, and they had Secret Service. I told people it was very eerie because this is America. Nowhere can you not just cross the street, and you literally could not cross the street.
It just crossed your mind. Did it cross your mind that it was all set up? Just
Absolutely.
Make it difficult for Trump supporters.
Absolutely. And you know what? I have a picture. As we were walking over, we walked, through the hill because they almost like forced you to. It was, I know it was cold. Don't get me wrong, but it was beautiful out. The sun was shining. There was very, very little minimal snow on the ground. And we stopped and stood there, and you could feel the heat from the sun. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was 20 degrees. It was cold, but you could feel the heat from the sun. Had the inauguration been outside, it gives me the chills like it was supposed to, it would have been the most incredible thing. But unfortunately, and I do believe it was for, the president's safety, and I understand that, with all those people there, we would have been just fine. And it was so nice out. So it was like really disappointing. But in that moment, I felt so bad for the people who spent all that money just for the sole purpose of being there, to be outside for the inauguration, who had nothing else to get to. And this, you couldn't get into balls. They were beyond capacity. Fire marshals were getting called. They made it very hard and inconvenient. So I was just incredibly grateful that we had other things to do. And I worked while I was there and had several unplanned meetings, which I was grateful for. But I felt so bad for the hundreds of thousands of people that were just there for the inauguration and were stuck, and everything was closed.
Yeah. Well, and I talked to some people on inauguration night that went to these other balls. There was apparently 3 that had one line. The line went on for a mile or whatever. It was freezing outside.
Yep.
Well, many of these women, I've talked to some girls, they didn't even have a warm coat. They're in a nice dress.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how long it would take, so they stood in line for like 3 hours. One girl I know, she was crying by the time they got to the entrance. And then they get into the ball they were going to, because there was like one line, which is insane. This is insane. I don't understand. It almost sounds, what I heard? I heard that the administration prior helps accommodate the incoming administration. So that would make sense. The Biden group would make it so nasty for Trump supporters. Because they're evil. And but this one girl, her feet were cut. She's standing on these sandals outside. She said, I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep my toes. I was so cold.
Yeah, that was a lot of people.
and there's no place to sit. Then they get inside, they can't sit down.
Yep.
So it's just a horror.
And then you try to leave and you can't. So it's funny you say that, because when we had walked over to meet Dawn at the West End, I had saw an Arizona senator's husband leaning up against the fence outside of the West End. And I thought, hey, I know you. What are you doing? And this was at 1:30. And he was like, we're waiting in line for the Liberty Ball. And I was like, it's 1:30. And he goes, yes, but it's supposed to, the line's supposed to be really bad, and they're not letting anybody in. And so what they were doing was they were taking shifts, standing in line, saving places. The husbands were, and then they would go inside and get warm and get a hot coffee in the West End. And that lobby was over capacity too. There's no way. And then they would go back and switch, right? And they started staying there at 1:30. The doors didn't even open until 7:30, and they stood there. And my husband and I, we were leaving to go back to get ready to come to the Gateway Pundit Ball, and we had to walk 2 miles just to get an Uber because we were in Arlington was where our hotel was. So, because we came last minute, so we were a little bit out, but we had to walk 2 miles just to get an Uber, and we're watching hundreds of people flock to this line at like 4 o'clock, knowing, and it was miles. It was wild to me. And like you said, people got in, they were sleeping on the floors, but then you couldn't even get out of line to leave because you had to walk another 2 miles just to get out of the disaster. So it was a lot. Definitely underprepared people for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. We were fortunate. We got to go to the last rally of Trump's before the inauguration. So Sunday, great seats. Thanks to a couple of great Patriots. We were like third row. Got to see Trump,
that is
Elon,
awesome.
yeah, we were thrilled. So me and my wife and son, and that was awesome. So we had a great time.
Was that your first one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we were just at a rally with him. Yeah, in Arizona.
First rally. Now I've seen Trump at one other time, a couple years ago.
Oh, okay.
Rally. Yeah.
Yeah, we skipped on the rally because we just saw him at a rally, so we decided to. And I was able to go backstage and meet him and spend a little bit of time with him. So we opted out of the rally because there was also a line. It was just it was crazy.
Yeah. So you made it home okay. You're back home, I guess, in warm weather.
Yep.
Yeah. So last time we had you on, we talked about some pretty heavy stuff, and it's related to really some experiences you've been through, and we talked about it briefly at the party. I don't know if you remember. I shared some personal experiences myself. My daughter had gone through a situation when she was a teenager, where she was abused by a classmate, and unfortunately, she's doing great today. I gotta tell you that. That event really impacted her. I saw how it was, and I didn't share that on the air last time, but beautiful girl today, doing great, 3 kids, working hard, really just one of the nicest girls you've ever met, probably maybe about your age even, and but that was tough. And so I think the thing that's hit me as I was thinking about today's show earlier is really to kind of salute you, not kind of, but to salute you for your courage in standing up for the survivors, and offering alternatives that support the survivors of situations from maybe as far back ago as their youth. So hats off to you for all you do. If you'd like, maybe fill us in a bit on your story, or what you're doing today to help those that have survived, not just survived, I think, but thrived through situations that they had no control over as children, and so many people do. So anyways,
Thank you so much, because this isn't easy. And what I would say most people don't know is my case from 20 years ago is active because my abuser is continuing to file motions. I mean, my God, he's filed with the Arizona Supreme Court after 20 years. So I'm currently dealing with that. And what is really unfortunate is that someone chooses to cross boundaries and violate a child, or it doesn't always have to be a child, someone violate sexually and cross all these boundaries, and then that victim they're now a victim. They never wanted this. It's they're suffering because of someone else's selfish actions, and then that plays and rolls over into, it affects everybody involved, not just with the victim's family, even with the perpetrator's family. It is awful, all because they chose to act on selfishly and violate another human being. And you are left to pick up the pieces of someone else's choices. And it's not fair. There's nothing fair about being a victim of this crime. And so for anybody who survive this. My heart breaks for them because you have to figure out how to heal, how to manage your life, how to work through your triggers and the things that just completely just it takes every part of your soul, and you have to figure that out. Not the bad guy. That's left on you. It's awful. And so my heart truly goes out. And I think that's part of what keeps me going. That's a big part of it, because no one should be having to do this. And it's not fair. And no one should be having to live in this nightmare that I seem to be stuck in. So the only thing that I know to do is to write policy that will actually help victims, to spare them some of this trauma, so they don't have to relive this the same way I'm having to relive it after 2 decades. So as hard as things get for me, as dark as they are, as awful, as bad as my PTSD gets, as many days as I can't get out of bed, I have to keep fighting for victims, because they shouldn't have to live in this. So it's
Amazing.
it's a lot. It's,
Well,
and
it's kind of like maybe in a not the same by any means, but it's like the addict or alcoholic who eventually comes crawling into AA or some 12-step program and is just beaten to death by this disease. In this case, that they've been so beat up by, and they end up finding recovery. And a big part of that recovery then is in these 12 steps of these 12-step programs. The 12th step is basically help others. And so maybe some of this, the road to recovery, maybe it always ends in that. Maybe that's there's
yeah.
a big part though that's spiritual, huge
Oh,
part, and is that been your
absolutely.
experience? Yeah.
Yes, yeah. And I think I shared this last time I was on. For a couple of years, I completely strayed from God. I was like, I'm out. Like, these things, they keep happening to me when I'm trusting. I feel like the devil saw a window of opportunity and just swept right in, and I just lost all my faith and really felt like God didn't care about me. And now I feel like I've isolated, um, kind of like the very bottom of the roots, the seed that has been planted. I feel like that's where I'm at now. Um, so it is just me and God, still duking it out and working through things and really testing my faith to see how much I trust him. And it's taken me a long time to get back there. It's taken me a long time to get back to church. I was completely betrayed by my church, who knowingly allowed my abuser to be around children, to attend a father-daughter dance. They knew he was a convicted sex offender, and they let him bypass every safety protocol. They allowed him to host a neighborhood group, and then they told me to my face he would never do these things. We know him. And then they blacklisted me. They sent my picture out to security saying that I am to be treated as a DLR. It doesn't look right. After I posted on social media that a huge mega church knowingly allowed a pedophile around children. And so that really, that took a lot out of me as well. It felt very parallel to what I had experienced when I was a child. Here, this, person is making these bad choices, and everyone's covering for him. And it happened again. And, in my church, it was awful. So definitely been through some things then and now, but really trying to, I wouldn't even say trying, I'm very cautiously leaning into my faith right now. It's terrifying and it's draining, which is probably why I feel so isolated and in such a dark place. But I think that is ultimately where we start to, really dig our roots in and grow with God. So it's not easy, and I can see how people run and stray easily.
Yeah, with pain. And I think I ultimately think that's the reason why addicts and alcoholics use is pain. They don't know how to deal with pain. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I've heard about a professor who was out in Vancouver helping these young recovering addicts. And the one common denominator that he found across the board was that these kids really, that were addicted all had major pains they didn't know how to deal with. And so there is, I'm sure, and I think I've even heard or read this, that there is a correlation between abuse and alcoholism or addiction.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's got to be, because that's how people learn to deal with it. And it's just, you're trying to deal. It's a good thing to try to deal with things, but through these drugs or alcohols, unfortunately, it's just not the answer. It's temporary and it doesn't help, and then it leads to more problems. So yeah,
it's a Band-Aid.
I was going to share, and maybe I can share. I don't know if Chris would have it. I haven't told him to pull it up, but there was Bobby Kennedy came out with there actually was Sage Steele interviewed Bobby Kennedy here recently. And I played this on the show a couple days ago. And it's Bobby Kennedy telling his story. And it was, he said, well, he was like a 12-year-old when his dad was assassinated, 12 years old or something like that. There's a picture of him, beautiful young boy, handsome, beautiful boy at like his dad's funeral, and the shock. And he was the oldest, I believe. And by the way, the thing that hit me too, somebody mentioned yesterday, he sat in that cabinet room. The last Kennedy to sit in the cabinet meeting was his father.
Wow.
50 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow, how powerful. I noticed he looked kind of melancholy, and I was thinking later, I thought, I wonder if that was just, soaking through him, thinking, my dad was here.
Because even if, he's not intentionally thinking about it, our bodies respond, right? And why do we feel this way? And we bury things and we don't realize, our body keeps score. So a lot of victims, or a lot of people who've suffered trauma, our bodies keep score. And that's why, whether if you're walking through if you've been through trauma and you're walking through the grocery store and you get like something smells, or you hear a song that comes on, it just, you subconsciously you're like, oh, whatever, what's this? And then, your body keeps score. And so he may have been, I would imagine that definitely could have been a possibility.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
but this video it wasn't a video, it was an interview with Sage Steele, and he goes on to share how what he started doing heroin within a year. And did it for like 14 years, something like that, 12, 14 years. And then came crawling into recovery, as he put it, and on his hands and knees, just broken. I guess, the heroin wouldn't work anymore. And so then he ends up telling this wonderful story about how his recovery was, he learned early on that it was based on spiritual. He's going to have to build a relationship with God. And he talks about the movie called, or not the movie, but the album by the Police called Synchronicity. That came out in the early 80s, I think. And it had Every Breath You Take on it and some other great songs. It was a great album, real popular. And that was out at that time. And then he ran into this book by Sigmund Freud about synchronicity. And so he decided, well, I'm gonna read that, because he knew of the album for the Police, of all things. And in the thesis of this, he says Freud's was a spiritual guy. He says basically that synchronicity is when God reaches through all these formulas, all the laws of nature, everything he's perfected, and basically touches you and says, hey, I'm here. And I thought, wow, that is so powerful. And that's what, and then he gives an example and talks then, about how, he's his recovery, but that was so powerful. And I mentioned this and shared this with some other people that I know. And the thing that goes through my mind is there's this famous painting on the ceiling in the Vatican where God touches Adam, and it's like their fingers touch. And I thought, for me, that's really what Kennedy was talking about. It's that moment where God touches us out of the blue, boom, and that there's a God, right?
Yeah, for sure. That is so true.
It's just powerful stuff, at least from my point of view. I thought I was blown away. I'll make sure we share that. Chris, do you have that available by chance? Okay. We do have a video though, Chris, from Arizona. Is that right? Oh, okay, we couldn't get that either. Oh, we had a clip. I actually put it up on Facebook this morning where they were talking about you in Arizona, one of the local stations. I think it was Arizona. And
About me?
well, yeah, the
Oh.
Kayleigh's Law. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And about how this law that you helped get in place was moving forward, maybe not just in Arizona, but in other states. So
Yeah. So in the last 10 days, I filed in 2 more states. So
wow. So
yeah.
what's the law and what states is it in now?
So Kayleigh's Law gives victims of most notably sex crimes, but also some domestic crimes, natural life protection from their abuser. The reason that this law is so important is because prior to this law, there was no such thing as natural life protection. And it's crazy because we even had to include natural in front of lifetime because lifetime has no legal definition. And this stemmed from me having to reface my abuser in 2020 because he wanted his so-called lifetime probation lifted. Well, it's important to note that sex offenders are handled differently in every state. A lot of states, offenders are only on the sex offender registry from, depending on the tier they're designated, 10 years, 25 years, or again, lifetime. We say that very loosely. It's not a lifetime. In Arizona specifically, most offenders are sentenced to lifetime probation, but the actuality is that after their treatment is concluded, they are able to petition to get off lifetime probation, which would mean a victim would no longer have protection. And in 2020, I could not believe it was all or nothing. Like, if he gets off probation, that we were told it was a lifetime, then I don't have protection. He can call me, he could show up at my house, he could, come to the same grocery store as me. Why should he ever have the option to ever re-enter into my life with no repercussion? So that's what was the spearhead behind Kayleigh's Law. And it passed in 4 months with complete bipartisan support in 2021. We have had to make several amendments over the years because we created a new law, and there's no such thing as a perfect law. 1 year we had to amend it to add natural in front of lifetime. Another year we had to amend it because a judge tried to seal a lifetime injunction, making it null and void. It was just crazy. So we had to do that. This year it's kind of an amendment, but more so a procedural correction, because in Arizona we have what's called AZ point, where that's where all the restraining orders are, and it's easy access for the police to get on and look at things. For some reason, it's not on there, so we're adding it. That's the goal. It passed out of committee yesterday, so it should be easy. But since it's passed in Wisconsin, it's been signed into law. Last year, unfortunately, it died in California, which I don't think anybody's really that surprised. And it also, so that was last year. Let's see, this year Kayleigh's Law is currently filed in Missouri, was Wyoming. That's a fun one. It was filed in California on the 18th, and it was filed in Oregon yesterday. So,
wow.
Yeah. So
wow.
Lots of stuff happening. In Wyoming, they had the natural life injunction, and it did not get out of committee. It didn't even have a vote to move the bill. And I was just disgusted because I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that. I've been in trouble before for saying that.
Yeah.
Had an award taken for saying I was disgusted. So Wyoming, very gun friendly, very pro Second Amendment. I'm here for it. But when you're prioritizing providing a convicted felon, a dangerous felon, a firearm over protecting victims of crime, I don't have a lot of respect for you. So they killed the bill because if it could ultimately impact a Second Amendment right, which is just it doesn't even make sense. This person, if you're a convicted felon, you can't own a firearm anyways. So why is this only affects those that have been convicted of a dangerous felony? That the victim of the crime could be eligible for a lifetime injunction, So if there's an injunction, they said, well, they can't own a firearm. Well, it doesn't matter. They can't own a firearm anyways because they're a convicted felon. So Wyoming is going to need some extra hard work. Whereas, California is totally opposite. But it died in Wyoming 2 weeks ago. And then, we filed in California last week, and then Oregon yesterday. And then also yesterday, the bill was heard in the Judiciary Committee in Missouri. So they haven't voted it out yet. They take a little bit in Missouri. So hopefully it will be voted out next week, and then it'll go to the floor. So.
Wow. Great. Reach out to me. I might have some access to some similar individuals in Florida. If you want to move forward with something there, let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting how we have all these liberal states kind of.
That's great. It's amazing.
Jumping in. I'm grateful. I don't care. And I've actually, people are like, oh, this is going to be so hard to get across the line in these liberal states. We've had more Democrat support than Republican. We've had more Democrat governors work on this bill than Republican. And for whatever reason, for me, this isn't a party issue. This is a people issue. This is a survivor issue, because it doesn't matter where you go. The category of the subject doesn't matter. This affects everybody everywhere. And that's why, for me, politics goes away when it comes to Kayleigh's Law, because victims, regardless of anything, they deserve to know that they have protection from the person who has harmed them for their entire life. They should never have to relive this again. So,
amen.
I'd love to connect in Florida with any. I just need bill sponsors. All the work is done. We just need someone willing to sponsor the bill. So, and we also, fingers crossed, should be filing. We've opened a file on the federal level, but we should be filing on the federal level too, which would be huge. So,
wow,
been
great. No,
pretty busy over here.
It's really important what you're doing. It's really important. You're helping a lot of people. There's probably somebody even listening today that feels to some extent listened to or healed. It's important to talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
I think that frees some people up. If they can talk about it, I can talk about it. So it's what you're doing is really God's work. It's great.
And, thank you.
You're helping a lot of people.
I like to leave people feeling hopeful that, they can do things to make a change, that there's still people fighting for them. Especially, being a survivor, I've kind of thought about it. Why is there so much effort put into helping the bad guys, right? Like, we see it over and over again. They have everything at their fingertips, therapy, resources, even if it's, mandated. It is so hard as a victim to get those things. And it's usually pretty temporary. So I was thinking one day, why do the bad guys have everything right there? Why are people always talking about them and wanting to help them? And well, it's because we can see the repercussions of their actions, right? Like, for example, if they're on probation, we can see how it impacts their life. We can see that they're not allowed to go somewhere. We see the effects of their actions in real time, and they're visible. We cannot see the effects that a victim that the actions are having on a victim. We can't see that. It's internal. Now, they may be, doing things through drinking or drugs or coping mechanisms, but we look at it as that, oh, they're self-harming, not what the problem is or the root of it is to help them. And so it's just the judicial system is so hell-bent on helping these bad guys and criminal justice reform and this and that. And we need to do that because we can see the effects, but we can't see the effects on victims internally. Their scars and what's hurting them is so deep and not visible to the eye. And we have to change that. We need to be victim-focused, not perpetrator-focused.
Well, I can tell you firsthand, victims are really challenged through some of these situations, especially. So pain is hard for people to deal with, or all of us. But we all deal with it. and that's the good thing too. You're teaching people how to deal with pain, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So great stuff, Kayleigh. Great stuff. Keep charging ahead. We'll have to have you back and you give us an update on some what's happening in your work, and great stuff. You're doing great work.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. It always helps to get the word out. And if you're in Missouri, California, or Oregon, please get involved with helping push this legislation across the finish line. We need testimony and support and just awareness surrounding these bills. It's really important. So,
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming, Anna, and thank you so much for being here. Great seeing you again. It's a lot nice and warmer than it was the last time we saw you. But, great to see you. Thanks for everything.
Yep. No, thank you. I appreciate it, and take care.
Okay, thank you. And we'll be back tomorrow on the Joe Hoff Show. Thank you so much to Kayleigh for being with us, and we will have another incredible guest tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Thanks.